power outage this weekend.
Absolutely. There's a huge storm coming across the United States. And, you guys up there in Cleveland, you're going to get a lot of snow. Down here, I'm getting freezing rain. A big difference in that freezing rain collects on the power lines. I've gone through this before, and some people have been out without their power for a week.
Oh my. Do you have a game plan? Are you going to go south, my friend, if that happens?
Well, I was thinking about that, but if the ice storms happen, you can't drive. I'm out a generator that I can power my electricity if my power goes out.
We'll see that prediction. I bet everything's going to be fine. All right. So our topic today is the retirement collision when required income meets peak tax exposure. What do you mean by a retirement collision?
Well, it's the moment when required income like RMDs, Social Security, and portfolio distributions collide with peak tax exposure. Instead of choosing when and how to take income, retirees are forced to recognize it, and they have no idea about it. I mean, it's just like, how many CPAs and attorneys have ever told their clients about the taxation of Social Security or the means testing for Medicare Part B that can go up by 350%, or if your income's high enough, IRMA taxes. This is tens of thousands of dollars per year that nobody has any idea about.
All right. Why does this collision usually happen later in life?
Because required minimum distributions don't begin until 70s. It used to be 70 and a half, but now it's at 73 and up. But when portfolios are larger, flexibility is lower and fewer planning tools remain. Taxes arrive precisely when options disappear. And that's why I tell people, let me build you a tax-free retirement that will mitigate or eliminate the risk in retirement that many of these financial vehicles only compound, such as sequence of returns risk. Very few people know about this, and it will decimate your retirement. Neil, here's the other thing. The number one fear in retirement is running out of money before you run out of life. I can eliminate that. And they used to say a 4% distribution rate is a safe distribution rate to last in your 401k or stock portfolio. Index for inflation, 3%, 3% for 30 years. Well, Neil, all my plans go to age 120 or until end of life. But people don't understand this. I mean, longevity risk, which is a risk multiplier. People are not prepared for long-term care risk. 70% of all Americans will need long-term care at some point in their life. 40% of Americans right now are between the age of 18 and 64. They're on long-term care, and it costs $50,000 to $200,000 a year, and it goes up by 6% or more every year.
How do required distributions increase overall tax exposure?
Well, they stack on top other income sources. Think about this. Okay, you're getting taxed on your 401k. Now you've got required minimum distributions. That's another tax on top of it. If you don't take that amount, you have to take that amount. That used to be, it was a 50% penalty if you didn't take your required minimum distributions plus all the taxes. And you're talking people in the highest income tax bracket, they got 40%, and then state tax and everything else. They're having less than 0.5% of their money when they go to retire. But less than 5% when all those taxes are added up.
So why is flexibility lowest at the exact moment required income begins?
Because most structural decisions were made decades earlier. Accounts were funded, ownership was taxed, and income streams were locked in. The system dictates the outcome. And that's why you have to have a plan. Things change, especially nowadays with AI and everything. There's so much visibility out there and different ways to, just like tax strategies. A client I had this last year, got him back on a tax strategy, $2,280,000 of taxes he's paid over the last 4 years. I mean, this is just one strategy. There's several strategies that my team are experts in, and we've done this for years.
What mistake do high earners make earlier than causes this collision later?
Well, I've said this from the beginning. Over concentrating in tax deferred accounts without planning for the exit. I ask people, why do you contribute to your 401k? Well, Alan, it's a tax deduction. I said, no, it's not. It's a tax compounder. We're in a lowest tax bracket we've been in 70 years. We got a $37 trillion tax deficit and a $217 trillion deficit in the future. And a study in the House said if we don't raise taxes by over 50% by the year 2030, we can't even pay the interest on the debt. We'll go bankrupt as a company. A country.
How can this retirement collision be reduced or avoided?
Well, number one, Neil, by diversifying tax exposure early, managing income timing, and creating flexibility before required distributions begin. Retirement. Rough time talking today, Neil. Retirement planning isn't about accumulation. It's about controlling the landing. I always tell people it's not about rate of return in retirement. It's about distribution of your assets. And if you have your distribution correct, just like with sequence of returns risk, if you take money out in the first 2 to 3 years of a down market in a 10 or 20 year period, and if that's all you're doing, you're going to be out of money in the 5th to the 9th year because you don't have time to recover when there's a lost market. Think about this, Neil. You got $1 million in a stock portfolio, and a 4% distribution rate is supposed to be a safe distribution rate to last for 30 years, indexed for inflation at 3%. Well, number one, all my retirement vehicles go to 120 or to end of age. But first off, that $40,000 is not guaranteed. What if you have a 10% loss in the market the first year? Now you're down to 900,000 minus that 40,000 minus the fee you pay that financial advisor, whether you make money or not. Correct, Neil? And then what happens in the next 2 to 3 years if 2008 happens again, where you lose 38 to 52%? You're going to be out of money in the 5th year. People have no idea about this, and they're not prepared. The average 401k only lasts 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, it's really tough, and I don't know what's going to happen for sure. How can this retirement collision be reduced or avoided?
Well, by diversifying your tax exposure early, managing income timing, and creating flexibility before required minimum distribution begins. And when I tell people, you got to have a plan. I've always said this. You got to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, make one. If you do have a plan, improve on it every year because things change. But we've been inundated by the propaganda of Wall Street and these fee-based advisors that the only way to save for your retirement is through a 401k or some stock portfolio or something like that. Well, understand this. 58% of the people don't even think there's a fee on their 401k deal. 58%. The average fee in a 401k is 2.99%, and that's by Forbes magazine and the Lap Times. When you go to retire, you'll have less than half of your money, and you're hit with taxes anywhere from 20 to over 55%. And people are not prepared for it.
They're not, Alan. That's why they got to give you a call right now.
Definitely. I don't charge for my consultations. It's all about education that people need to know. I will show you this financial strategies the wealthy and the banking institutions have been using for years. I have a team of people I work with, and we are specialists in our fields. And what I mean by specialists, you got your family doctor. I can treat you for minor illnesses, minor injuries. But if you want your knee operated on, you want the orthopedic surgeon. And that's what I have in my team. Tax-specific attorneys and CPAs and other specialists in their fields. And we collaborate together to come up with solutions for people's financial problems, whether it be debt, taxes, legacy planning, healthcare, tax-free retirement. The list goes right on down. But I have a whole team that covers all of this, not one advisor here and one advisor there. I have a whole team that will take care of all this.
Okay. That was, again, a great podcast, Alan. Appreciate that. Was the Strategic Wealth Strategy podcast, guys. Take care.